Well, welcome back.
So this is the first week where we're not going to be reviewing our fantasy league because that's ended last week, and we are going to be purely going over the playoffs and our predictions. And so, yeah.
Although I am killing it in fantasy basketball.
Oh, really?
I
Who do you?
joined a public league and I am the top scorer so far.
Oh, really? Who do you have?
Damian Lillard, Shea, a couple of Pacers guys, Demontis Sabonis and Miles Turner. Miles Turner should be defensive player of the year, by the way, or at least he's the front runner. Drew Holiday, Montreal Harrell, De'Aaron Fox.
See,
Jeremy Grant, he's a Detroit guy.
I don't know basketball, so I don't know any of those players except for Damian Lillard.
Yeah,
Or Lillard.
I'll have big names like some of the other teams do, but I feel like my depth and overall roster is way better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like the guy I'm going against right now, he has Ben Simmons, Paul George, Anthony Davis, Gordon Hayward. Like everyone knows those names, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm
Dang,
beating
that's
him.
crazy.
So
I wouldn't take Ben Simmons. He's not that much of a scorer.
he's averaging how much? Let's see. Oh yeah, I guess not. But he's great on the defensive end. So defensively, he gets points that way. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just remember from the past couple of years, just Ben Simmons can't shoot threes or shoot at all. So
yeah, he's taken a couple shots this year and actually made it.
Oh wow. I think
it wasn't that he couldn't make threes, it's just that he never attempted. And so he started to, and you know, they're not super consistent, but like they're still like not, you know, terrible.
better trying than nothing. Didn't it take him like 4 years to make a three or something like that?
yeah, it did. It's really funny. People always joke that he hasn't improved since he entered the league. But he was also a rookie of the year and like all-star the year he entered the league. So
Yeah.
anyways, enough basketball. We'll get into our whole NFL predictions, playoffs, blah 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 blah. The first matchup of the weekend was Colts Bills, and our predictions were, well, my prediction was Colts 24-7, 24-27, sorry. So a 3-point difference there. Would have held Bills to 3 points lower than they actually did. So I did get the actual score right, just flip-flopped it a little bit. And then you said Bills 30-24. So you got the Colts' final score right, but you thought Bills would score a field goal more than they did. So
That was close. You were both.
Yeah, I was happy with the Colts' defensive performance for the most part. Bills were a team that was entering the playoffs. I think it was like the statistic was in their last 6 games, they're averaging 38 points per game.
Oh wow.
38. And so holding them to 27, I can be pretty happy with, considering we didn't force a turnover. And I don't think we had any turnover on downs necessarily. So we made them punt a lot and always like managed to get good field position that way. But I wish the defense was more explosive, or like, you know, actually cause like some more things to happen that were like, you know, just turnovers and whatnot. We got a couple of sacks, I believe, but that's just about it. And Josh Allen kept escaping the pocket. It was a similar issue we've had with Deshaun Watson, where we can't get our edge rushers to really trap him in his little box. And then on the offense side, it was like we had an amazing game plan going in that was going to beat the Bills. Like it was like the strategy and the game plan alone was it going to beat the Bills, because the Bills didn't come to play that day. They weren't top notch at home that day. We couldn't execute anything. So many dropped balls, a missed field goal, a guy who had been on injured reserve all season, neutral zone infraction on a 4th down when it was just supposed to be a hard count, and like they weren't going to do anything. And then, you know, they would have left the field, attempted a field goal, but instead he did the neutral zone infraction. They got the touchdown. Other than that, no, yeah, there was just a lot of execution flubs, and I think it's just because it's a very young team. For example, Anthony Costanzo, our left tackle, just retired, and so T.Y. Hilton is our longest tenured player and he joined in 2012. And so it's a very young team with little veteran presence. I would say like Justin Houston and Phillip Rivers are like the older guys on, offense and defense who like really take the veteran presence role, but they haven't been with the Colts that long. And they're also free agents entering this offseason. No one really knows where the Colts will be next year because there are so many free agents and so many offseason needs, like quarterback, left tackle. Our left tackle just retired. Cornerback, I would say, because we have some cornerbacks on free agency. Wide receivers, because we don't know if we're bringing T.Y. Hilton back just yet. And also we need more explosive playmakers anyways, because he had a very late start. Like he wasn't very successful all season. Even if we were to keep him, I think we need another big playmaker, like a wide receiver 2 at minimum. An edge rusher, similar to like a J.J. Watt caliber, because, the ones we have right now haven't been super effective. Yeah. Quarterback is always the biggest overriding question, though. Like before we can make any other decision, it's like, who's the quarterback? Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think Bills played that well. I just think we're a very young, immature team that, we have the right guidance and the right play calling. I mean, a lot of people are making a huge fuss over Frank Reich's play calling and over Phillip Rivers, even though Phillip Rivers was not the problem at any point in the game. It was just first playoff jitters because it's been a while since Colts have made it. So yeah. I think that's all it really came down to. So, disappointing, but also at the same time, it's like, even if we were to, barely etch out this win, there's no way we were going to be the Chiefs, for example, who, they have the playoff experience and the coaching and everything. They're just a perfect team almost. There's no way with what we have right now, how young and immature this team is. Seemingly, despite the talent is there, it's just the maturity needs to get to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, like you have the O-line, you have like certain structures where you can build off of that. So it's not like you're completely starting from scratch too. So you're going to have a good like next 5 years or whatever. Just need to
we I don't know if we ended up talking about this last week because I don't even remember when it got released, but the All-Pro lists got released.
Oh, I don't think we talked about this.
The Colts tied the Packers for the most first-team All-Pro selections.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Despite being a 7th seed playoff team that is like relatively young and whatnot, we ended up tying the Packers. I think it was Darius Leonard, Quentin Nelson, DeForest Buckner, and then George Odom, who's like our special teams guy. He leads the league in special teams tackles like by a long shot. And maybe there's a 5th in there. I don't remember if Packers also had 4 or 5, but yeah, all I know is that we tied Packers, which is Packers #1 NFC seed, led by Hall of Fame MVP quarterback right now, Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, we definitely have the talent. It's just, immaturity.
You want to do like a season recap or whatever on the Colts of like your final thoughts on the season as a whole? Or
final thoughts, I think I predicted 10-6 entering the season because I wasn't very confident in Phillip Rivers. And I didn't know how great our defense would start out, which I was right with Jacksonville. The first Jacksonville game, defense did not start out great because lots of new pieces. No one was really sure how it would go. We had Xavier Rhodes and DeForest Buckner become starters on the team without having played on the Colts before and not having a true off season because of COVID. So defense was just like kind of a mess. I was very impressed by how quickly they got like the hang of it. Like they communicated very well. They had the chemistry. I just think it's a very fun, passionate team. Well, just talking about the defense as of right now, like the defense is so tight knit and close as a group. It's like a brotherhood, and it's just really awesome to see. Like if a couple more pieces were added, this might be like an all-time great defense that like could not be stopped. Unfortunately, teams later down the stretch managed to see where our weaknesses lied and took advantage of that. But to start out the season, we were amazing as a defense. It's just like 1 or 2 more pieces, and then I think we're pretty much set. And like just maturity as well. I mean, it depends on how much off-season practice these guys are going to be able to have. As for the offense, my concern was Phillip Rivers. and the lack of playmakers they would have because Marlon Mack ended up out like first game. And, offensive line, I never had to worry about. It was just the playmakers, wide receivers and running backs. Because also Paris Campbell for a second straight season was going to be a starting wide receiver, ended up getting on the injured reserve second straight season. Yeah, between those two groups, I was very concerned. At the very beginning, tight ends stepped up, like Mo Alley Cox, Trey Burton, Jack Doyle. They all really stepped up because Phillip Rivers, is more comfortable throwing to tight ends, like historically with Antonio Gates and whatnot. And then the other running backs stepped up. Nyheim Hines had an all-time high in receptions. Like, he's a great receiving back, and I believe an all-time high in touchdowns in a season as well. And then Jonathan Taylor, rookie, just, started popping off midway through the season. And then T.Y. Hilton started to get things together, and like certain like practice squad guys in the wide receiver group started really doing well at various points. None of the wide receivers, I guess specifically, have been too consistent. Like Michael Pittman, rookie, he wasn't necessarily very consistent, but he was known for getting a lot of yards after the catch, and like that was a big deal for us to be able to be that explosive downfield. But because he's a rookie, he wasn't that consistent, and he was one of the guys who had a couple of drop balls in the Bills game. So the same with Jonathan Taylor, even Nyheim Hines, who's not a rookie, but a guy who hadn't been to the playoffs yet. I guess offense just like needs those playmakers in order to help Phillip Rivers thrive, because Phillip Rivers, it wasn't a career high in like completion percentage or turnover rate, but it was like closer to where his prime was than we have seen in like a good 5 years.
Yeah.
Because the narrative was that Phillip Rivers wouldn't be able to sustain his success because he was too turnover prone and whatnot. But then Frank Reich took him in again, gave him the good offensive line, and he started to really make just better decisions because he had more time. He seems to really care about this team. Like his post game interview after the Bills game, it was just very sad because he himself doesn't know like what his future is going to be. Like, even if he gets the offer from the Colts, he doesn't know personally and like with his family like what the best decision would be going forward, because by next December he will be 40. So yeah, he just has like a lot of decisions to make, and we still don't know what the Colts in general are going to decide to do, because there's just so many options it seems like right now. Like, everyone's talking about Deshaun Watson and Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz, of course. Like, all these different guys who are seemingly wanting trades and all that. Mm-hmm. And the free agent possibilities as well. And then, draft. I may have said that. So, I guess the recap was like this stint with this type of team wasn't one that was going to be able to continue with the very similar group going on next season, just because we have so many free agents this season, and we know we can't bring every single one of them back, because whether they're going to be requesting more money with their contract, or how old they are, how much experience they have, it's just all in question. And so this was kind of like a make it or break it sort of season, where it was like, okay, we've got all these pieces that we kind of just shoved into place. This could be a chance to be a great team, but we only have this season. And that was kind of the issue. If we managed to get pieces in place that could be developed over more than one season, then I feel like so much expectation and stress wouldn't be on this season alone. And that's why a lot of the Colts players are really disappointed in, a first round exit. I mean, we still have a lot of great talent regardless of what happens after this offseason. And I still think we're another great offseason, because we've always had great off seasons within the past 5 years, except for the Andrew Luck retirement. We're just one great offseason from being a Super Bowl caliber team. I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah, so I would say in general exceeded expectations, especially from the depth of the team and how much like passion and like their work ethic and everything like that. Like, I didn't realize how much chemistry would be there for this team, but I just hope it is able to be sustained into next season. That same energy, now that we're going to have to get rid of some guys and bring some new guys in. And even our defensive coordinator, he's getting all these head coaching jobs, so we can't even be sure that guy who made this defense such a success will still be there. Mm-hmm. So like, it's a lot of difficult questions. Like, I could easily see next season maintaining that energy, But I could also very easily see a huge drop off where we go to like 8-8 or something like that. Just like suddenly. This offseason is the biggest offseason for general manager Chris Ballard for his whole career. It's going to be quite intense.
It's going to be interesting to see where that goes.
As for the Bills, defensively, they are really great. I will say. I think a lot of the stress for the Bills this season was on the offense because that was what was making a lot of the mistakes in the prior season. And then they bring in Stephon Diggs, and then Josh Allen just matures a little and, really takes the time to really perfect his throwing and his decision making. And all of a sudden, he's an MVP candidate. And Stephon Diggs is the receiving yards leader. And so all of a sudden now the offense is like the highlight of this team. But a lot of people really don't realize that defense is a huge deal as well. Like they are insanely good.
That's why
and
the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Or whenever that was.
Yeah, these guys are definitely worthy of the second seed. And they have a good chance of beating the Chiefs. I think Chiefs are still my favorite to get the AFC berth in the Super Bowl, but I would not be surprised to see Bills do it as well. Whereas with the Ravens and Browns, not so sure. But Bills Chiefs would be the perfect AFC championship game. Maybe even worthy of being called the real Super Bowl, quote unquote.
Yeah.
As some conference championships tend to be. So
I feel like the Chiefs just replaced the Patriots as the next dynasty in the AFC. Because
yeah.
it's like he's gonna beat the Chiefs now. For the last like 2 decades, it was like he was gonna beat the Patriots to get into a Super Bowl. Because it's like every year you knew that the Patriots were going to make it to the Super Bowl and the championship. But now it's the Chiefs, and I agree that the Bills are the most likely to beat the Chiefs out of the AFC race this year, and it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Good job on your correct guesses. 2 correct guesses within that matchup. I guess we can move on there. I guess I can always talk about Colts more, like off-season needs and whatnot in the like later episodes. Yeah, for now, obviously that's not what anyone wanted to see from the Colts. That's a Colts fan, because of how much talent there is on that team. You wouldn't really expect them, like on paper, like that's not a first round exit, right? It was the first playoffs. So like just making the playoffs alone as a 7th seed was just like, wow, at least they made it, because they very easily could not have by being that talented. So I just think you can carry that confidence into the next season. Like, wow, this team is the real deal. They have proven a lot, even if they didn't get the result they wanted. So
And I think the AFC is so competitive as well. So like you said, just making the playoffs is very difficult. After like the playoffs and after the Super Bowl, we can do an episode, or maybe during as we wrap up the Super Bowl and react to the Super Bowl and stuff. We can do like off season as well, and where we think the Eagles or the Colts or these other teams are going to be. Because I think that would be a very short podcast if we just reacted to the Super Bowl game, because it's only a singular game. So we could go more in depth into the off season where some of these teams go. Yeah,
definitely.
I guess let's move on to the Seahawks and Rams game. Very shocking to see the Rams put up.
Rams put up 30. That was not what we predicted. So our predictions were both for the Seahawks. I said 23-14. You said 17-10. So on average between us, we thought Rams would get like 12 points. And then they went way above that and got 30. Man, Seahawks that is one of the biggest drop-offs in expectations for a team I have ever seen. Because to start the season, they had the MVP favorite, they had the Super Bowl favorite locked almost.
Yeah.
Within the first, let's say 5 weeks. Even DK Metcalf was getting some buzz for Offensive Player of the Year. So like they had all those pieces. And it's not like they don't have great defensive pieces either. They have Jamal Adams and Bobby Wagner. And they have a great coach who's done it before. They made the Super Bowl before, won the Super Bowl before. And it's just like, why not? But then all of a sudden, I don't even know what happened. It's just a huge drop-off in performances on both sides, defensively and offensively. Defense, if anything, probably picked it back up towards the end of the season and then completely fell apart again in the playoffs. I think overall it was just outcoached because Rams, on a performance and execution level, they don't put up that many points. Like their offense isn't that high powered, or just like they're not a scoring type machine. But I think coaching wise, they just had everything going for them, and Pete Carroll just got outcoached.
Hi. Want to say hi real quick?
Hey, Hi.
Hey Janet, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
I think the biggest shocker out of this game was the Rams scoring 30 points because you kind of expected the Seahawks offense not to perform that well. But like you said, the Seahawks
Yeah.
defense was picking up speed towards the end of or picking up momentum towards the end of the season where you would expect them to like dominate the Rams offense, especially since the Rams offense hasn't been producing points as well. The fact that the Rams could score 30 points and dominate the Seahawks like that is very shocking.
And the Seahawks fired their offensive coordinator. Not immediately after the game. I think, well, what day is it? I think it was just yesterday. So I guess
Oh, wow.
they gave him a good 4 or 5 days.
I solely blame Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf for how my season ended because they just like completely flopped.
I don't even know if I can necessarily like I don't know who to blame. I just feel
Yeah.
like this is such a unique circumstance where like I don't know what went wrong with this team because it's similar to the Colts in a way where like they have a lot of great pieces on both sides of the ball. Hall of Famer quarterback, certain like all pro defensive players and some great all-star type, offensive pieces as well. I would compare DK Metcalf to be almost as explosive as Jonathan Taylor. For some reason, the depth on the Colts and like the chemistry overall just seems to be way better or more prevalent than the Seahawks. And I think that's where the Seahawks fall apart. They just don't have the best communication chemistry to like work together as a team. And so they fall apart. It seems like they're just all individual pieces doing their own thing rather than working as a unit. Like I think Colts defense does best. They really work as a unit. I've never seen so many like gang tackles on a defensive like performance than I have with the Colts against like the Texans or some of the other AFC South teams. Like they really gang up on a guy sometimes, and that's like it really shows like they work as a unit. And like I don't see that sort of energy from the Seahawks at all, despite having similar caliber talents on the team.
It's confusing as well because you'd think the members on the offense has been around for like a few years now with like Russell Wilson being there since 2012, Lockett being there for a few years, DK Metcalf his second year, and I don't know about the offensive line, but some of the running backs have been there for a few years. So it's strange to see that their offense fell apart, especially because I think their offensive line has gotten better as well over the
Yeah.
past couple of years. So like it's strange to see the offense fall apart. It makes more sense that the defense fell apart, especially in the beginning of the season, because they lost most of the what were they called a couple of years ago? Their defense, the Legion of Boom or whatever.
Yeah, Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
losing Sherman, losing I forget the other pieces that they lost, but it makes sense
Yeah.
that the defense fell apart more than the offense, but it's just strange to see the offense collapse as they did.
I also think Seahawks, they have this weird unit type run with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde. And maybe if there's a third member as well that we typically see from like Bears, Cardinals, Browns, even the Colts, maybe before Jonathan Taylor's popping off. But for some reason, they are very like not successful with it. I think their rushing game needs to improve a lot more in order for Russell Wilson to be more successful with his passing, because like we'd like to see MVP like primetime Russell Wilson that just like he puts the whole team on his back and just like throws for all those yards, whatever, like, similar to like what Deshaun Watson does. That's not a Super Bowl level team, though. As much as we'd like to see that sort of MVP performance from Russell Wilson, I think Russell Wilson more than anything would like to be a Super Bowl performing team. And if you want that, then you also have to have an equal amount of success in the rushing game so that the defense, has to be on edge on both sides. Like, oh, if they're going to rush, then we really have to take care of that. But also their passing game can be equally as dangerous. Whereas like if the rushing game is unsuccessful, then it's way easier to get at the quarterback and like do have better coverages because they know that they're likely going to pass more if their rushing game is unsuccessful. So I think that's what whoever they find in their next offensive coordinator, make sure that that guy knows the rushing game. And I think that's going to be an issue with the Seahawks because obviously DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson are the lead guys. And so they might even like let them in on the hiring process of the offensive coordinator and I just want Russell Wilson to know, like, hey, man, you may have some, weigh in on this, but make sure that's not all about your individual performance. Make sure it's for the team as a better. Like, your rushing performance needs to be way better. I just feel like if they put too much focus on what Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf needs individually, that they're going to find a guy who is going to be very pass heavy, which it feels like was the downfall of this team this year, is that they got way too pass dependent. So I don't know.
I feel like that's them every year or ever since Marshawn Lynch left, where they struggled with rushing because I think last year Russell Wilson was accountable for like 95 or like 98% of all the touchdowns that the Seahawks scored. I think it was only like a running back scored one touchdown out of the entire year or whatever. So like Russell Wilson is dealing with no running backs for his entire career as a Seahawk, I feel.
Oh, shoot.
What?
I just got some breaking news. This is more basketball actually, so kind of like not relevant, but have you been keeping up with like the James Harden trades and stuff like that?
Not really. A little bit, but not as much. So I don't know as much.
So the drama is like James Harden has like during the summer, not during the summer, but like during the off season, he like went to social media is like, I want to be traded. Like he let everyone know, like, I want to be traded. And then he came late to training camp and all that. Like clearly he doesn't want to be there. And last night they lost to the Lakers. He went to the post game thing. There's nothing more I can do here. This team is something that can't be fixed. And then he walked off.
Dang, so disrespectful.
Yeah, so Houston Rockets, they don't want to just like trade him away with like whatever the first offer is. He's one of the greatest players in the league right now. Obviously, they want to get something in return. And so they're just like, we're not afraid to make him uncomfortable and keep playing for us if we're not going to get the trade we want, right? But after he said that, apparently the breaking news is that they're making James Harden stay away from the Rockets. Like he's not allowed to come to practice or anything until a trade is complete.
Really?
So he's not. I don't think he's going to be playing another game for the Rockets at all.
Wow, that's crazy. What, is he just like not going to play or put any effort in, or why do you think they made that decision?
No, I mean he completely put the effort in. He's put up. Well, he hasn't put up amazing stats actually. I think the statistic was the last 4-game stretch. Yeah, the last 4-game stretch, he's had less than 20 points in each game, which hasn't happened since 2014 or something. Like he's always within a 4-game stretch has had at least one game with 20 or more points. Yeah, I mean there's also a lot of other like really good players on his team now, DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall. So like he's not the only one who's able to get points anymore, because Russell Westbrook as a scorer wasn't that successful in the Houston Rockets for some reason last season. But also I think I don't think he's been as inspired to play as well. I think it's just mentally he's just very strained because clearly he doesn't want to be there. So it's like it's hard to put the effort in even if you wanted to.
Wait, where did Russell Westbrook go? Or is he still in the Rockets?
No, yeah, Russell Westbrook went to DC. He went to Washington Wizards. That was the big trade. It was John Wall for Russell Westbrook. So John Wall is now on the Rockets. Russell Westbrook is playing with Bradley Beal. Both teams aren't doing good though. Rockets and Wizards are not doing good. Russell Westbrook is playing like amazing over in Washington though. Way better than he ever was with the Rockets. Sadly, him and Bradley Beal are the only players doing well on the Washington Wizards.
So Russell Westbrook only plays good on bad teams?
Supposedly, yeah. Even though his MVP with the Thunder was okay then. Anyways, I guess I can connect that to football with Deshaun Watson. Hey, Deshaun Watson, there are ways you can force a trade if you really want. If you really want a trade to happen, there are ways you can force a trade. Also, a Houston organization, by the way, Houston Texans. That poor city, man. They are losing like their two like best players in their freaking city. I guess their baseball team has been pretty successful, even though they cheated in the World Series, or the season they got the World Series at least. I don't know how the Houston FC is doing in the MLS, and I doubt there's a Houston hockey team. Maybe there is. I don't know.
Hey, so do you want to get to the Bucks Washington now?
Yeah, that was a little halftime or A little break from football talk. Bucks Washington was pretty close. 8-point game. So I guess that's just a 1 touchdown, 2-point conversion. Possession, all that was needed for Washington to tie that up. Obviously, like everyone knew going in that like Washington offense wasn't going to do much. They did more than we predicted though. So I predicted Buccaneers 26-13. You predicted Buccaneers 38-17. I guess we both I undershot the Buccaneers score. You overshot the Buccaneers score and kind of like met in the middle.
Yeah.
They ended up getting 31. But we both undershot the Washington score. They actually ended up putting up more points than we expected. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that says more about the Washington offense or it says a lot about the Buccaneers defense because Buccaneers defense has been really good at the end of the season, or just like actually throughout the whole season. I would say the Buccaneers defense has been really good. I'm not going to say 23 points is a lot, but it's Washington. Like they don't have much going for them necessarily.
Yeah, I think it's more of a shocker that the Bucks defense did bad because Washington's offense coming into it is just so depleted, and I think they're the worst team entering the playoffs this year. So it's like 23 points I feel is a lot more than what I expected them to do. Even 17 points as I predicted seemed like a lot. Alex Smith, I think he got hurt again. I don't know why he wasn't.
Yeah. Alex Smith wasn't even playing, which was like supposed to be the big storyline. Like Alex Smith comeback player of the year, but he couldn't even play. So Taylor Heineke from Atlanta, Georgia, who's played on the Vikings, Patriots, Texans, Panthers, and the St. Louis Battlehawks, which is the XFL, by the way. That guy, he just randomly got the start. I'm not sure if earlier in the season he actually did get the start or not.
He ended up getting hurt too, and a fifth string quarterback ended up coming in too, which was shocking. And then he actually got like a passing touchdown. But Washington's offense is not like the worst. It's just their quarterback situation's not good at all. So they ended up playing like a four-string quarterback. But they have some pieces forming, as in McLaurin and Gibson. Those were good running back, good receiver. But still, putting up 23 is still impressive.
Oh, he played week 16 against the Panthers, which was a loss. He had 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Completed 12 out of his 19 attempts, which isn't terrible, but like he just didn't get a lot going necessarily. Yeah,
I guess there's
Taylor. Yeah, not much to say. Just like, will Tom Brady be able to? And I guess this is the preview. Will Tom Brady be able to beat New Orleans in their third matchup this season? You don't typically hear about Tom Brady losing to the same team 3 times in a row, but I don't know. It's a different team for him. Buccaneers. Can Buccaneers do it?
Oh, and Antonio Brown too. He's starting to light up the world a little bit.
Yeah, he's bringing it back. I
think it was I saw a crazy statistic. I forget the exact year. I think it's 4 or 5 years. I think the last 4 or 5 years, the most touchdowns by a wide receiver, like catching touchdowns. It's like Devontae Adams, obviously at top at like 58, but Antonio Brown, even being out of the league for the amount of time he has, is tied for 5th place or 4th. He's tied for 4th in the top like 5 receivers and like receiving touchdowns in the last 5 years. So it's crazy how good of a receiver he was, and if he would have actually played and not had that like mental breakdown with this, I think it's some like brain injury or whatever, but I think he would have had a crap ton more receiving touchdowns, and debate if he's the best receiver in NFL history, but definitely probably debate best receiver in the league. He would have went on his mental stint. I guess we can go to Ravens Titans now.
Yeah, this was my favorite game of the weekend, of Super Wildcard weekend. Not just because Ravens beat the Titans, and the Titans I hate, but just because even entering the game, there was already so much beef, These teams had already played once before this regular season when Titans were like all on the Ravens logo, just like before the game doing their thing, and then the head coaches had a little battle of the words. Didn't end up shaking hands after that game. And so when the Ravens got that turnover in the fourth quarter, they all went out and danced on the Titans logo. And I was like, man, this rivalry is going to be a marquee matchup going forward. Like next season and the seasons after. Like, this is the type of matchup I want to see in every postseason.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't care if Titans make the playoffs. I just want to see them play the Ravens now because it's just such a, I don't know. I think it's a really cool rivalry. After Lamar Jackson won, he said that he didn't respect the Titans after what they did. He refused to go out and shake any of his hands. He ran right into the tunnel and was like, I'm not gonna interact with those guys after what happened last time. And even beyond that, the Titans were the ones to upset the Ravens last year in the playoffs. Derrick Henry running for all of that, and then somehow the defense managed to, figure out Lamar Jackson in the postseason and stop him when he was having his MVP season. And they were like, I don't know, what were they, 14-2, something like that?
Yeah, they were 14-2.
The reversal of fate, and I think it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, and it ends the talk or stigma around when will Lamar Jackson get his first playoff when it's gonna come. Everyone was talking about that, and he finally did it. So he proves to be, or he gets that much better and proves to be an NFL quarterback that much more. And
he was playing great. It wasn't just like, he ended up getting the win, but he wasn't playing great. He was playing great. I think that's a big thing. And they held Derrick Henry to like an all-time low amount of yards almost, but
yeah, I think
I don't know the exact statistic.
It may have been like 46, I think I remember hearing. I know that might have been the entire team. I might have to double check that because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I only watched the first half of that game with my dad, but it looked like the Ravens, or it looked like the Titans were just dominating because I think they got like to a 10-0 lead, and Lamar Jackson threw that interception, and it just didn't look good for Lamar.
Oh yeah, it was around 10-0 at first. That's right.
Yeah. Derrick Henry had 18 carries for 40 yards, so not a great performance by him at all.
Yeah, it was a low-scoring game actually, but it was still like high octane because of just like the energy of both of the teams. Like, you could tell the Ravens really wanted to beat the Titans. Like, there's that beef, and the Titans are just, very momentum based as well. So I would say both teams are. And so, it's just going to be a fun game when, those two teams are coming up against each other. And so our predictions, we both thought it would be a high scoring games. I said Ravens 37-35. So very close there. And you said Titans 35-32. And so I got that right. Ravens win, but neither of us could get either of the scores right. And it ended up being 20-13, just a touchdown game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Way lower than what we expected.
Way lower. I think our lowest score that we predicted was you saying Ravens would get 32, and Ravens ended up getting 20 to win it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Saints-Bears game, I didn't pay too much attention to that. All I saw
Me neither.
All I saw from that game was the Nickelodeon stuff. I was so confused.
Yeah.
I was so confused on what
I heard about that a while ago, and I was like, this is going to be so stupid. And then lo and behold, it was so stupid. Like, they kept making comparisons of the football players, like Nickelodeon characters. So they were saying like Alvin Kamara, and there was this graphic of Alvin Kamara being compared to Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks.
What?
Which like doesn't make sense at all, but because they were both Alvins, and kids love Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
But I think the real highlight of that game though was Nate Burleson on the Nickelodeon stream, because I really like Nate Burleson in general. He's a funny guy at Good Morning Football. Just the way he tried to like dumb it down to the kids was just so hilarious to me. Like he called Taysom Hill and was like, Taysom Hill is the kid on the playground who can do anything. And I was like, it's true. He can run, he can pass, he can receive. Like, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah. Stuff like that was really fun.
Pretty interesting too to incorporate that. And did you see the F-bomb on the TV by Pederson, where the ref didn't like meet his mic or whatever, and he was like calling a penalty or whatever, for exactly what he was calling, and Passion just like came up and he was like, what the fuck? And he like heard it on like television and stuff.
Yeah, he went to Twitter and was like, I swear that wasn't me. That was really funny. But I really like Cordarrelle.
Yeah.
Shame Chicago is just bad, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was not a good game. Someone was tweeting out like, "Man, if you wanted to get kids into football, why would you show them the Bears?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "That's so
Yeah,
true."
like exactly. That's like way better like games to show them.
And then Mitchell Trubisky, it was like salt in the wound. After he lost, he gets told that he won the Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player, and
Oh
it's
my
just like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, like what? I feel like Nickelodeon doesn't
Uh,
even pay attention to sports. Like they could have picked
No,
any.
it was like it was a live poll.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I guess anyone could just go in, and so I guess Chicago being the fan base they are, they just went in and said, "Yeah, Mitchell Trubisky, Nickelodeon valuable player."
What like they could have picked any better team or like
Yeah.
game, like the Steelers or Browns or whatever. But yeah,
So we both predicted the Saints. I said 28-20. You said 30-16. Ended up being 21-9. So Saints actually didn't score as much as we thought they would. That goes to show Bears defense is not a joke, but their offense is only putting up 9. So
and then it was kind of sad at the ending with Jimmy Graham because he like the last touchdown. It was like 21-3 for the longest time or whatever the final score was, but the Bears got like a final touchdown at the very end. And like Graham like grabbed it with a one-handed and he didn't even care. And he like got the touchdown, dropped it, and just like ran into the locker room and it was like, I hate this team.
yeah, poor Jimmy Graham. Wasn't he on the Saints?
Yeah, that's what made
That's
yeah, like he was like probably the best tight end at that moment in time. And then his downfall was just like crazy after the Saints released him or whatever.
poor guy.
Like most people were considering him like the best tight end when he was actually good and he had like a 99 overall Madden thing and stuff. And it was just crazy the downfall he had.
Yeah, I think I do remember him on the Saints, but I think his whole downfall or whatever that was more so took place after I was not really paying attention to football.
I think he's been on the
Um,
hasn't he been on the Packers, Seahawks, and Bears now? I forget.
yeah, that's right. I do know he was on the Packers. I think I do remember that. I don't know where else he's been. All right, the highest scoring game of the weekend, though, because we didn't really get many high scoring necessarily games, was Steelers Browns, but it was not the way we had hoped it would be. Browns had a 28-0 lead in the first quarter, which is insane. To just get 28 points in any quarter is insane. Browns were out for blood.
Yeah.
They didn't have a coach, so they were just wild in general. Like they were just all energy, no containment from their coach or no calming them down. They were out for blood. And Steelers have been cocky all season. Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Minka Fitzpatrick, they're all just cocky guys on that Steelers team, saying all that stuff on social media about how Browns is the Browns and dancing on logos and all that stuff. Like they needed to just get beaten bad.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. And I was hoping that the Colts would do it because we did have that amazing lead against them to start out, but then the Steelers came back. And that was my worry after the 28-0 start. I was like, I don't trust this lead. If it was 28-0 by the third quarter, maybe I would. But 28-0 in the first quarter, anything could happen. And lo and behold, Steelers were starting to bring it back. It came down to a 12-point deficit at one point. But Browns, unlike the Colts, managed to close it out. They got some more scores in. The defense came up clutch on really good drives, and Browns really deserved that win. Even when Mike Tomlin, a great coach, was really starting to get them to rally to come back, but 28-0 is just such a huge deficit.
I'm so happy that the Browns like the way that bless you. I'm so happy that the Browns like killed the Steelers like this. Well, not like killed, but like had a big lead throughout and like dominating like this because what you said with like Juju and them making stupid comments and Juju said I don't know if it was an Instagram live or a TikTok live or whatever, but he went live like a couple hours after the game and he was just like the Browns are still going to be the Browns. They're going to get like destroyed by the Chiefs, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, Chase Claypool said that as well. And also Eric Aberon, he's one of the cockier guys in the league as well, even though he's dropping balls all the time. So
yeah.
I'm glad we don't have Eric Ebron on the Colts. I feel like he wouldn't mesh well with our current roster, but whatever.
Yeah. Wait, it was Chase Claypool. My bad. I thought it was Juju.
Oh, well, yeah, they both said wild things.
Yeah. I just know that Juju was at the neck at the beginning, too, or before the game was saying that. But I think it was Chase Claypool who said that.
Yeah. So Juju, before the game, said Browns are the Browns, as like, just saying like he's not worried about the game. And then after the game, Chase Claypool did the live thing and said that they're going to get destroyed. They're both guilty.
Well,
Yeah, Chase Claypool is one of the most annoying personalities that come out of the season. The dude is fast and he can catch a ball in the end zone. He can't run routes. He can't. He even drops the ball at like on key possessions sometimes. I've seen he's just like on the straight routes right to the end zone. He can get those, and that was the one time he like popped off that one game. That's all he did. If you want to make it big in this league, you can't just have that one game where you're able to shake up a cornerback just by flying past him. You actually have to do more than that.
And it was against the Eagles where he had that huge game. So it's like
it was against the Eagles.
It was like literally not saying that much.
And ever since he was just so cocky about it. And everyone's like, oh, this guy is offensive rookie of the year now. Yeah. And everyone was just like praising him, and he was like endorsing that as well. Like he was one of the guys who was like really trying to get people to say that sort of thing. It was just like, yo, chill out, rookie. Have some, I don't know, respect.
Well, I mean, he had a decent year, 62 reception, 873 yards, and 9 touchdowns. But still, like, that's not like out of the like flying colors like Devontae Adams kind of numbers or like.
Oh yeah, it's still a good rookie season, but it's like.
Yeah.
I don't think he's on the hype. Like, the statistics look really great, but I think when you look at what he does on the field, he's almost like a non-factor until they're trying to rally but from behind or like just trying to go for the deep ball, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, because like that's where he's great with those things. I mean, I'm not going to deny him that, but it's not like he's an all-round perfect receiver, Like Justin Jefferson is. Justin Jefferson, he can run routes. He can really shake up defenders.
I said this in the past, but Steelers breed hockey players.
I think it's true. I think that is absolutely true.
And one last thing. The Steelers lost 4 out of their last 5 games at the end of the season after starting 11-0. So I'm glad that their season ended like that.
If only Colts could make that 505.
Yeah.
That was one of the more disappointing things, I think, from the Colts this season was that against some of the better contenders of the AFC, they couldn't come up clutch because they lost to the Browns and the Ravens. Even when they weren't playing that well at the beginning of the season, they still ended up losing to them. And when the Steelers were on their downfall, they ended up losing them too. So that's something that we have to improve on, I guess. Because we play Bills in Miami next year. In the regular season, so
that's going to be an interesting game.
And I hope we destroy the Patriots. Oh my gosh!
I also hope that you guys destroy the Patriots as well.
I'm so excited to play Patriots when they're at their worst. Like this sounds so petty, but I don't even care what quarterback they end up getting. I don't care if it's Matthew Stafford. I hope we destroy them. Anyways, yeah, let's So overall, oh wait, you got that prediction right about the Browns being the Steelers, but neither of us had the scores right. We thought it'd be more low scoring in that game, more of a defensive battle, which it was not. I said 21-14. I said 21-14. You said 24-21 for the Browns. I said for the Steelers, and it ended up being 48-37. So final scores, because getting a score right is 5 points and getting a team win right is 10 points. The scores ended up being 45 for you and 30 for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you're up 15.
That's not a big lead.
The scoring, no, it is not. And the scoring gets more steep coming in to divisional weekend. This weekend, we're doing scoring a bit differently. So it's 15 points if you get a winner of a matchup, right?
Okay.
Getting the final scores are still going to be 5 points, but there's an additional prompt, which is predicting which player scores the first touchdown.
Ooh, okay.
In each matchup.
So are we
And that's also 5 points.
The winner, if we guess one correct, the winner gets 15 points, right? And then
like Chiefs versus Browns, I say Chiefs win, then I get 15 points, yeah.
And then we're also predicting the scores.
Like we
And
did last week, yeah. So if we
additional
get one team's score, then we get 5 points. But if we actually get both sides right, then we get 10 because 5 times 2.
yeah.
And then the player who scores the first touchdown, that actually means scoring. So it can't just be Patrick Mahomes passing to someone, right? That doesn't count. It actually has to be the actual catch or run in. Okay.
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 Okay. So who are we predicting first?
I actually should probably. This is what I should probably do. I should probably look at the schedule because I don't know which games are actually first this weekend.
Well, it's the Rams Packers at 4:35 on Saturday. Ravens Bills that's the night game at 8 o'clock Saturday. And then you got the Browns Chiefs Sunday afternoon at 3. And you got the Buccaneers Saints at 6:40 for the night game.
All right, let me rearrange what I have it here. I think that's good. All right, so I guess, yeah, what you said. We start with Packers Rams. Packers got a little break this week. Just got to watch, the games unfold. Got to see what their potential future opponents can put up. And Rams coming off a good offensive battle against the Seahawks. So Packers, I don't think have the greatest defense, so that might be a good sign for the Rams. But this is MVP Rodgers. He's not afraid of no Rams defense. He's just going to sling the ball the way he does. And they got Aaron Jones in the backfield if they ever need him. So who you got?
This isn't no Russell Wilson led Seahawks team or offense. So I'm going to predict a little bit of a blowout, not much, but I think the Packers will win this game, and the Packers will score 35 and the Rams will score 24. No. Wait.
Whoa. Okay. Wait.
Rams scored 20. Yeah.
Okay. Rams score 20.
Yeah, and then Packers score 35, like I said before.
Okay, yeah. Awesome.
And the first touchdown I predict is that an Aaron Jones rushing touchdown.
Oh, Aaron Jones. Interesting. Yep. Okay. I could see that happening for sure. Who do I have? Okay, I have the Packers.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think it'll be as big as a blowout as you think it will be. I think it'll be a bit closer just because, I want to give credit to the Rams after all. I think it will be Packers. I'm going to go 34. One under you. And Rams 24.
Okay. I thought you were going to do like 21 or some shit like that.
No. Rams 24.
Okay.
Which, I think is very reasonable for the Rams to get. And the player to score the first touchdown. I'm also going to go a Packers player, but when I'm looking at the Rams defense, who do I think of? I think of Aaron Donald, inside defensive lineman, who can easily swallow up Aaron Jones. So I'm not going that direction. I think of Jalen Ramsey, who can, I don't think Devontae Adams will have much of a problem with him, but I don't think he'll be a big priority in this particular game for Aaron Rodgers because you can't undermine Jalen Ramsey's abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So why not go in the middle to a tight end by the name of Robert Tonyan?
Ooh, okay.
Who was a Pro Bowl snub, by the way, this season. Aaron Rodgers said it himself. Robert Tonyan just is a great guy, and he does do well in the end zone, as we have seen this season. So not necessarily the best odds to get the first touchdown of the game, but I still believe Robert Tonyan will put them up early.
Okay. A little underdog here. But I can see it happening. I can see it happening, especially with Aaron Rodgers always throwing in and getting a crazy amount of touchdowns. I mean, Robert Tonyan's 2020 stat line was 52 receptions, 586 yards for 11 touchdowns, I think.
Ooh, 11 big ones.
11 big ones. I think we both had him at one point during the season.
We both picked him up briefly. Yeah. I had him when he was like real hot. And then also I had him for a cold game, but that's just how he is.
I think he had like 3 touchdowns in one game during the regular season.
Yeah, he did.
That put his
average up real high.
Yeah. At least it wasn't against the Eagles. That's all that I have to say.
The next game, the night game of Saturday, will be Bills versus Ravens. Bills coming off a win. A win is a win.
Want to win?
No matter what, a win is a win. No matter what. Hello, Lucy. A cat just came up. But it wasn't the greatest win. We
Yeah.
can't deny that. Bills were like a 6-point favorite in the Vegas sporting book odds, I guess. And it came down to a field goal that was missed by the Colts that could have, tied it up. Then on the other hand, you have the Ravens who actually were able to rally past a Titans lead, so it shows that they can come from behind and score points. I don't think it's impossible to see an upset happening here because Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson after all. And if he gets hot, then I don't think any defense can necessarily stop him, not even a Bills defense. But regardless, I got to go with the consistency from the Bills throughout the season. Ravens just haven't shown that consistency. And I don't think there's the same rivalry type energy to get them past the Bills. I don't think Ravens have anything against the Bills necessarily in the same way they did the Titans to really prove something. So I think Bills, who feel like they have more to prove right now, I think it's got to be the Bills for me.
I'm going to save my upset because last week, oh, what a cute cat. I like your cat. I'm going to save my upset pick for or for later.
Oh.
But I don't want to spoil anything I just did, but I'm going to keep with the Bills. Wait, did you say the score and stuff?
Oh, I didn't, but I was going to say that later.
Okay, so I'm going to say the Bills are going to win. And the score is going to be close.
Sure.
But I just dislike the Ravens because of how close they are to Philly and their fans are really annoying, like the Steelers.
Of course.
But this is hard. I can see this going high, but I can also see this being a low scoring game. But I'm going to pick the Bills 31 and the Ravens 27.
Okay, 31-27. I like that. That's a pretty good guess.
And for the first touchdown, I'm going to say that Lamar Jackson rushes it for a touchdown.
Oh, big LJ.
Yeah.
Really starting out strong there. Okay.
Yep.
So it'll be the Bills who will have to rally from a deficit.
Yep.
Unless, Bills get like 3 field goals in a row, in which case Lamar Jackson getting the first touchdown would not be impossible. But anyways.
And I also have to add on, Janet's dog is also named Lucy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Titus's cat is named Lucy.
Well, it's not my cat. My cousin would be really mad to hear you say that this was my cat. But...
Yeah.
Because Lucy only likes her, but then all of a sudden I come in and Lucy finds a liking to me for some reason. But
You want to see the cat?
The same with Caleb. My
Yeah.
dog likes him more.
Here's the cat.
Oh, it's a cute cat. I love green eyes and like black cats. I think that's so cute.
Yeah.
Like I just love it so much. Orchid calico and green eyes.
Yeah.
Lucy's always getting in the way though. Anyways, I'm going to go the opposite direction actually.
Ooh, okay.
And say that Josh Allen will get the first rushing touchdown.
Dang.
Or in the similar way that they did in the playoffs last year, Josh Allen will get a receiving touchdown. Either way, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Josh Allen. Because we know Bills have some trick plays.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has gotten a couple receiving touchdowns in his history with the Bills. His short history with the Bills, I would say. Bills, I think, will improve offensively and put up around the same amount of points that they did to end the season, that 38 average. I'm going to go exactly that. I'm going to go 38 for the Bills.
Oh, wow.
And say Ravens, we'll give them 21.
Oh, wow. That's like a blowout. That's a big blowout there.
It's a bit of a blowout, yeah, but I think it will seem closer than the score indicates until maybe like the last quarter. I think that's the way it'll kind of go. It'll kind of seem back and forth, but the Bills come up clutch in a way. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This cat is scratching me. Okay.
The first afternoon game of Sunday is the Brown Chiefs. Who you got?
Yes. Chiefs easily.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a blowout necessarily, but I don't think it would be like a field goal difference either. So somewhere in between like a 7-10 deficit. I'm still trying to decide there. I'll say Chiefs put up 27. I think that's kind of like a mid-range between being a low scoring and high scoring game. I don't think like Browns defense is like a joke. And Chiefs haven't played their starters in 2 consecutive games. So 2 consecutive weeks, not games. So it might take them a bit to really get it back into the game. I think they might even have to rally from behind in a similar fashion that the Chiefs had to do in literally every game of the playoffs last season. But yeah, I'll give Chiefs 27 and I'll give the Browns 17. That's how I'll go. And the first player to score will be a Browns player by the name of Jarvis Landry, just because I really like the way he's been playing.
Okay.
In this late stretch.
Surprisingly, I have the Chiefs here, but coincidentally, I also had the Chiefs scoring 27 points. But I'm going to change my points with the Chiefs just because to be different from you, just so we can have like, if it comes down to that, like
right.
a little bit different. I'm going to say Chiefs 30, not much off of yours.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm going to say the Browns. I want to stick with you though on the Browns 17 points.
So there really wasn't much of a difference.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
yeah, which player scores first?
I'm going to pick up the little upset here out of left field. I'm going to pick Le'Veon Bell scoring the first rushing touchdown.
Interesting. That is, yeah, you're right. That is not what I would have expected you to say. Yeah. Even though I know you've been quite the advocate for him, even picking him up as soon as he got traded to the Chiefs. So.
I'm actually a big fan of Le'Veon Bell. I liked him in the Steelers because he was like, he didn't seem that cocky. I
never thought he was that cocky.
Yeah.
He just seemed pretty, tame compared to like Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
All those guys.
And he's like a really good running back. I mean, not as much anymore. He was a really good running back, and
Sure, it's been a while.
He has a little part of my heart.
I think he has potential. Okay, there you go there. Next we have Saints, 2nd seed. I don't think they have looked amazing necessarily, but obviously their offense is no joke. Hall of Fame Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara being Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, who can do anything, and I don't know, why am I forgetting his name? The wide receiver.
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. Is he out? Because I know he was out to end the season a little bit, but I'm not sure if he was in the playoffs.
He was there. He was there. He played against the Bears and he got his first touchdown. Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't watch much of that game, so I wasn't sure. Okay, good to hear that Michael Thomas is back. So offense is no joke. Defense is also pretty good, but I wouldn't say they're that consistent. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the Buccaneers are very similar. Lots of high-powered offense. Defense has performed really well, even though at some points not as great as you'd like to see. Hall of Famer quarterback, of course. The only issue is they don't really have a strong rushing game, and I think that's the one aspect that if you had to go back and forth and really see what the big difference between the teams are, it's that Saints have a pretty solid rushing game. Mm-hmm. Whereas Buccaneers can't necessarily get it started. I know fumbling has actually been an issue for them on the rushing side at some point. So that's why I would see Saints favored. I mean, they also are just the higher seed coming into this playoffs as well. So I will go with Saints. The issue is, I think that if Saints were to play Rams or Packers, I think they would actually not win.
Oh, really?
So if Saints are to win this game, whoever they play in the NFC Championship, they are just not going to win. And, free Super Bowl berth for whoever ends up facing them. I just feel like Saints won't be able to get it done in the championship game. But I think this little divisional rivalry between Saints and Buccaneers, the Saints just got it on lock for some reason. It's just one of those things where for some reason, Buccaneers can't get past this one team. I think that'll just kind of be the story and maybe even a huge narrative next season when they play the 2 games against them. And, the hope is Buccaneers improve in the offseason and really come after a Saints team that is without Drew Brees. That's the other thing. I also, as much as I don't like Drew Brees, I think he'll have a somewhat successful last playoff run. I just feel like that's kind of the thing, whereas Tom Brady's going to keep doing his thing in Tampa Bay for another couple of seasons. So I have Saints close game, a nail biter per se. What am I doing? 31-28.
That's really close and a little bit of high scoring too. Dang.
Yeah, not bad. First player to score the touchdown. I'm just going to go Alvin Kamara. I like that guy. I think it's pretty typical, but like I'll just go Alvin Kamara. Also, I haven't chosen a running back at all, so in the past answer. So let's go AK.
All right, so I alluded to this a few minutes ago, but I'm going to have the Bucks winning this as my upset of the week because I wanted to at least pick one upset every week. I don't know, like I said last week, I don't know if I want to do it to the Super Bowl because of how dominant the Chiefs are going to be. I agree with you. It's going to be super close scoring. I'm going to pick a little bit snuggle right into your lap. I'm going to pick a little bit low scorer than you are due to the defenses. Because the Bucks defense and the Saints defense has been playing pretty good lately. So I'm going to say 17 Saints, 14 Bucks.
Wow, that is low scoring.
Yeah.
Ooh, still a field goal difference. Same with me. Interesting. Yeah. I like it. And who do you have the first player to score a touchdown?
I'm going to say Michael Thomas scores the first touchdown.
All right, we both got equally talented Saints guys.
Yep.
I like it.
So that just about wraps up the podcast. But the last little smidget that I want to talk about is the little free agent drama that happened already with the Eagles with Doug Pederson.
Oh yes, Doug Pederson is out of Philly.
So I was thinking about making a video about this, just talking about my thoughts, but I'm gonna do it here because I want to do like the mismanagement of the Philadelphia Eagles in the last 4 years, and then like the start of a new era with all the like free agent drama or whatever has happening. So I want to keep all my thoughts shorter video, all my thoughts there. But I just want to get my like first initial reactions here. I don't know. I like Doug because he's a Super Bowl winning team, or he's like a Super Bowl winning coach, I should say. I really like him because of that. But like just of what he's done over the last couple of years is just, I'm kind of happy that he's gone. It's a shame that we cut him this early or like released him this early. I thought we would give him at least a couple more years, and I wouldn't be mad if we gave him a couple more years. I think this is going to keep Carson Wentz, or more likely going to keep Carson Wentz inside Philly, because the only reason why Carson Wentz was requesting a trade was because of his relationship with Doug Pederson. And since Doug Pederson is out, then I think Carson Wentz is going to stay in Philly. That's not like a guarantee or anything. I'm not saying he's definitely going to stay in Philly, but I think he's more likely to stay in Philly now since Doug Pederson is out. And I just hope that they actually hire someone that's good, a good coach that actually knows how to call plays, actually knows how to sufficiently run the offense. And with Jim Schwartz is also out of Philly because he's taking a year gap just to see where he's at, and he's considering retirement, but he just wants to take like a year off.
Who's Jim Schwartz? What is his position?
He's the defensive coordinator for the Eagles.
Okay.
And he's been with the team for 5 years, and he's like a really good coach or really good defensive coach. He was like the Lions head coach for a little while. Way more better at being a defensive coach than an actual head coach, because he was that on that team of the 0-16 Lions. He was that head coach.
Oh yeah. He was that Jim Schwartz. Okay.
Yeah. And but he's like a great defensive coordinator. Like I love his schemes and stuff. A little bit shaky this year, but like he's one of the reasons why the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and won it. But he's just taking a year off just to see where he is mentally and stuff, and he's getting up there in age. And he's considering retirement, so we're going to be out a defensive coordinator and a head coach next year. So like free agency is already steaming, but with Doug Pederson, I think it was a little bit premature, but I like the decision, and I just think that we should fire Howie Roseman as well too, because his decision making is not great. And I think the only reason why Doug Pederson actually got fired was because his poor management and his relationship with the players. Jeff Lurie, I think that's his name, or the Eagles owner, was just like brought him in for a meeting, and basically Doug Pederson was like, if you're not going to let me make decisions here, then I want out or whatever. I don't think it exactly went like that, but then like Lori just like fired him, and then he was like basically
Yeah,
like,
the rumors are that he was almost asking to be fired.
so like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Doug Peterson obviously lost it.
Right.
I think that
Yeah.
was it. I don't know if it was motivation or just like he lost touch with the spirit of the team, but
Mhm.
he just didn't feel like he represented the players' voices
Yeah.
at all.
Mhm.
And I think that's the same with the general manager. I think that may even be the same with the owner. I
Yeah.
just feel like they're out of touch with what the players' desires are and like what they really want. I think it's also just a hard fan base to really be a part of as well. Philadelphia is very tough on their organizations, sport wise. So, I mean, head coach of the NFL, there's only 32 people every season who are able to have that opportunity, and that's because it's not an easy job. And you can be a Super Bowl winning coach, but that doesn't mean that you can stay with the team for the long haul,
Yeah.
To win a Super Bowl and to have longevity and maintain a team's trust are two different things. And when you think of Mike Tomlin, that's a guy who's won Super Bowls and has always been a voice for the players and always been like someone the players can reach out to. But when you think of, I don't know, like Harbaugh, who's now with Michigan, he led the 49ers to a Super Bowl, but clearly he was not loved and as respected by his players. And so I just feel like it's a similar thing with Doug Peterson. Like he just kind of lost touch with the core values of the Eagles. And that doesn't mean he's necessarily a bad coach. It just means it stopped being a good fit for him.
Yeah.
And vice versa, like the players just didn't seem to connect with him as much either. Like obviously Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, and whoever else seemed to just have issues with the organization in general, and there has to be restructure in there in order to make that work. Because even if Zach Ertz and Carson Wentz leave this offseason, that's still going to be a problem for whoever else is going to step up as the veteran, voice for the locker room. So
Yeah, I agree.
there you go.
Yep. So yeah, I just wanted to add that at that little end, just since it's like big news. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the podcast. Thanks for joining,
Yep.
and see you next time. Peace.
Goodbye.